What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. Straight wall hunting cartridge series continued. Today we're on a pretty small one. This is the 350 Legend. The rifle today is a CVA Scout. That's the version 1, not the V2 takedown. If you've been watching some of our previous tests, you've seen the V2, but this is the original V1. Neither one, the V2 or the V1, come with a muzzle device of any sort. The other ones come with some sort of a compensator. So I figured we'd save a couple bucks and go extra budget. That's one of the points of this series, is to show you budget options to get into straight wall hunting cartridges, at least test a few out if you're interested in it. And along with the budget theme, we have a SIG Buckmaster scope. This is a 3 to 12 power. It's budget as far as price, but it's pretty good as far as quality. A set of Buckmaster rings to go with it, and we'll use all that to test out one of the original 350 Legend cartridges. We have a Winchester Power Point 180 grain projectile. Just a very basic soft point hunting round. It has an advertised muzzle velocity of 2,100 feet per second. We'll definitely be checking that out to see if that's true. This is pretty much what we're going to be using in the straight wall hunting cartridge series, unless we find another oddball to add here and there. The biggest one we have on the deck right now is the 500 Bushwhacker. That's definitely going to be the king of these straight walls. But right next to it is the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum. Then we have the 4570 Govt, the 444 Marlin, the 460 Smith & Wesson Magnum, the 450 Bushmaster, the 400 Legend, the 360 Buckhammer, and keep in mind that it has a .458 diameter bullet, followed by the 350 Legend with a .355 diameter bullet, and that is the same diameter bullet as a 9mm bullet. So as you can see, the 9mm standing next to the 350 Legend, that thing is just one big, long, stretched out 9mm. We recently showed you the 360 Buckhammer. That's a very controllable cartridge. I'm assuming this 350 Legend is going to be pretty comparable to that. It has a 20-inch barrel on this gun, but this thing in general is just much smaller than the other Scout rifles. It's a thinner profile barrel, and it's a shorter barrel. It actually feels like a youth rifle in your hand, but that might not be a good thing. It's portable, packable, but that actually might take away the ability to soak up some of the recoil. We'll have to see. The only thing that's changed from some of our previous tests is we'll be confirming everything through a Garmin instead of our other Caldwell chronograph that was failing us pretty bad. We're going to take this thing out to 100 yards. We're going to get a grouping on it, confirm 0, or at least get to 0. We've already zeroed on this steel plate behind me. That's a 20-yard steel plate, so we've done like a rough 0 on that, so hopefully it should be somewhere close. We just want to get a feel for the rifle, see how this ammunition likes this rifle, and then we'll go on from there with other ammunitions. In some future videos, we'll be checking out Hornady Custom and Hornady American Whitetail. But for now, I think I've explained it enough. Let's get to shooting. All right, there's a bunch of targets out there. I don't think it matters to you, but I'm going for the bottom right one just in case it does. 350 Legend going in the pipe. That has a very stiff ejector or extractor. That's not an ejector, but just so you know, that has a little hump to get over to get that cartridge in there. Be careful you don't mark up your bullet. If you have really nice hunting bullets, don't scratch them up on the way in. But there we go. This thing really does feel like a toy. So I know I'm not on a lead sled. I know I'm just on a rest. We will be doing lead sled testing in the future, but for now, this is just kind of a practical hunting accuracy. I'm going to take all these shots in a row so I don't have to break up the footage downrange. And I think that one went pretty high and left, but we're going to go for groups, not for bullseyes right now. The Garmin says 2018 as far as velocity. We have the foot-pounds on there. I think it'll show me that. Nope, it's not showing me that right now. Now, that's the first shot, so we might have to consider that one a cold bore shot. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. We'll see how the rest of the group goes. Yeah, that's pretty close. I can see it from here. We have 2,042 feet per second on the Garmin. (2,002 feet per second on the Garmin for that one. And this thing does have a little bit of recoil. I was kind of assuming that it would. It's actually a pretty darn good hump to get over to get that round in there. It'll scratch up your brass. If you care about reloading, that's definitely a brass scratcher. But yeah, this thing does have some pretty good recoil on it. So I don't really buy the whole argument about 350 Legend, at least not in this rifle, being super low recoil. All right, there's our group. It's not the best group, but let's go take a look. We have 2,041 feet per second on the Garmin for that one. All right, we definitely have some adjustments to make to get down here. But if you've been watching our previous videos, this is pretty much following the consistency of the other rifles and ammunitions that we've been testing as far as group size. It's not the best group, but like I said, we're not in a lead sled type of situation. However, I don't want to put that much thought into that because look at the wobble zone here, or look at the spread here. For me to be doing this myself with my shooting, I would have to be wobbling all over this target. So just so you guys know right now, any wobble zone I have is basically in this small circle at the very max here. I'm not coming out of this circle at all whatsoever. So my aim is always true right here, and that is a true group in my opinion. So let's get this thing measured out. I'm going to measure that at 2.737. And our first shot was up in here. This was my last shot, I believe. So we can't throw out any flyers or what we would call cold bore shots or anything like that. Every time I broke the trigger, I felt that it was right here. So it's kind of weird that that last one dropped down after 3 previous shots, but it is what it is. We might find some ammunitions that this thing likes better or groups better with. But for now, that's definitely a deer-sized group. Now take that out to 150 or 200 yards, that could get a little bit wonky. So let's make a few adjustments real quick and see if we can get zeroed onto that bullseye. All right, after some adjustments, let's see if we can make this work at 100 yards on the bullseye. A little high of the bullseye. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple more adjustments really quick. But that was 2069 on the chronograph. All right, so that was either part of its normal grouping or I needed to make some more adjustments. I don't see why that would be the case, but now I know that I was totally dead set on that bullseye right there. Let's check it out. We had 2060 on the chronograph. All right, so there was our first shot and our second shot after a couple more adjustments. So I'll say that's within its normal grouping. I just know that I was super solid when I cracked the shot right there. So good enough at 100 yards for right now. Let's back it up to 20 yards on its steel plate, and let's see if anything changes up close. All right, 20 yards off that steel plate. The red dot in the chest is what I'll be going for. Ooh, I got to turn down the zooms. I always forget. We'll go to 6 like we've done for the other rifles. And yep, it's going to do what the rest of them have done. We had 2,024 feet per second on the chronograph, and that's hitting just a little bit low. Let's go take a look. All right, so that's staying very consistent with the rest of these straight wall cartridges. When we back them up to 20 yards, our point of impact shift goes down just a hair. Totally acceptable for deer and actually very convenient. At 100 yards, you're spot on. At 20 yards and anything in between, you're going to be within that variance. Now, scooting out to farther distances, 150, 200 yards, maybe the 100-yard zero is not for you, but for me, it is, and I'm sure a lot of you it will be. And then anything drastically in closer, like absolutely right in front of your face, you might have a totally different holdover. Maybe we'll test that. We can't test that on steel, but in future videos, we'll be taking a look at the extremely close shots. Because me personally, I've had deer run right in front of me. With a 30-30 one time, I shot one that was no farther away than 5 feet in front of me. So that can be significant when you're using an optic, not so much with iron sights. And then there's also those aggravating situations where the deer is right under you in the tree stand and you don't know what your holdover is. You want to take the shot, but you might not be sure of it. So we'll definitely check that out in future videos. That should be fun. But as far as today's test with that ammo, maybe that ammo doesn't like this gun or the gun doesn't like that ammo so much. Maybe it's not the best combination. We'll figure it out. We have a couple others. And like I said, we'll be doing lead sled testing once we get a few of the factory ammos through it. we'll pick and choose, see which ones these guns like the best. We'll also be doing a ton of hand loading. There's where you can really optimize some things. And we're definitely going to be checking out some ammo from some of the companies that like to load things a little spicier than normal. Overall, it's an affordable package. It's shootable, but it is recoily just a little bit. Don't let them fool you and say 350 Legend has no recoil. Maybe in an AR platform, it would dampen it down a little bit, but a single shot rifle, it's definitely got a little bit of punch. It's not a painful punch, but it'll move you. Don't scope yourself. If you get into the scope too much, it will ring you a little bit. But being a smaller rifle, that is pretty much a youth rifle in my opinion, this thing will be carryable through the woods. So if you have any thick brush you have to go through, anything weird you got to pack up and hike up into your deer blinds, things like that, this type of rifle might be for you because it's lightweight and it's small. It's easy to get around with. The foot-pounds of energy are decent. It's definitely enough to drop a deer. People have arguments all the time about whether the 350 Legend is effective or not on deer. I think any of these straight wall cartridges that we have over here that we showed you, any of them are going to be effective on deer as long as you hit them in the vitals. And it's not always the cartridge's fault. I've had very good hits on deer with arrows or bullets, and they've gone surprisingly far. And on the opposite side of that, I've had some very bad shots before, and they've gone surprisingly short distances before they fell. So when it comes to that argument of whether 350 Legend is good enough for deer, I would say it's probably pretty good. You just have to do your job. We might find out this year. We have to select which cartridges we can take deer with. We can only take so many deer. Between me and camera guy, we only have so many tags. But I've always been interested in taking a shot with a 350 Legend with a decent projectile to see what it actually does, not just what people on the internet say it does. This should get real interesting when we get into gel testing. If you like these type of videos, if you like what we're doing at The Turkey's Opinion, make sure you're subscribed. And if you are subscribed, hit that notification bell. Let us know in the comments what you think about the 350 Legend, maybe the Scout rifles. Let me know if you use it or if you think it's not good enough. If you're in the camp of, no, we need something a little bit bigger. We're going to be cranking out videos for the straight wall cartridge series. Hope to see you at the rest of them. Thank you for watching this one. And until we see you next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep shooting. Pretty soon, them deers.